and a defensive lineman get a hand on it. Well, what the back's taught to do is hear and then get to this right away. But that something like that doesn't make the poster. Like also like a catch tuck, right? That's specific to the quarterback's not involved in that. So these are team. Does that make sense where I'm going with it? These are team fundamentals where it applies to everybody.
Jalen had mentioned about the great moments you guys had together during the bye week. I went into a little bit of detail, not much, but from your vantage point, how productive were those interactions?
Yeah, very, very. Just having conversations about the team, having conversations about just everything that involves the team. Long conversations. Just got a lot of work done. I always appreciate when guys work as hard as he did over the bye week, and just that's what my mind was on, and that's what his mind was on, and we had a lot of good talks. Obviously, I'll keep all those private, but I just admire, and I said this the other day. I just admire how guys worked during the bye week to keep going and just to keep getting better. And he spent so much time working at his game, resting his body but working at his game, and I admire that.
How do they come back? Are they organized, or do you just organically they happen, or you just guys set to be in the same?
Yes to both. Yeah, yes to both. You start with the conversations, and that's kind of how it goes with coaching in the coaching world too. As you're watching something and you're like, hey, let's look at this, and are we as productive as we need to be in this particular case? No? Okay, then so you're kind of going down this path. It's just, like I'm saying, this is a coaching way, and then this is just how it kind of went too, is like you're going down this path like, hey, let's venture here and see what's going on there. And then you get back and then you venture somewhere else. And so it's kind of, you have some things planned out, but then you also, conversations and studies take you to different places.
How do you feel like the insights that you discovered or, reflected on over the bye week manifested themselves in practice this week?
Yeah, a lot of different things. Like I said to you guys, the way we drill things were a little different this week. Had some different ways we practiced a couple things. Like obviously you guys don't get to stay out there and watch all of practice, but that showed up throughout practice. Without giving without giving some stuff to answer your question, help you do your job, but also keeping stuff inside. We videotaped things a slightly different way. Like everything's on the table. With the way we videotaped and audio taped and just everything. Like anything that you think that you have an opportunity to take another step on is what we did. And so that happened, and that's meetings, and that's, again, your core values are who you are, and your habits are who you are, and what your identity is. But then all these other things can change the way you prepare just in attempts to get better. So like I said, there was things in meetings, there was things in practice, there were things the way we tape practice. There was a different thing with the crowd noise that we practiced too. So bunch of different stuff.
Offensively, you had some things we talked about. You need to work on turnovers, slow starts. How do you balance sort of wanting to make some changes with also the reality that you played one game with your full offense, and how do you sort of balance that?
Again, only thing you're ever trying to do is focus on how do we improve, and so that takes discernment, like to say, hey, this may show as a problem, but is it? You got to go through and you got to study that and say, this is an issue, but then you study it and you're like, well, it's not maybe as big an issue as we think, or this and that. So, but like I said, everything you're trying to do is just to improve, and you just got to have a wisdom of what truly needs what. I think it's like when we say improve, it's not like, hey, just go get better. Like there's paths to it, right? And so you focus your time on what you think are the big things and what you think are, and you focus. It's just like you spend more time practicing first and second down. I'm trying to make an analogy here. You spend more time practicing first and second down, because then third down and then red zone, because there's more opportunities there. And so it's the same thing there, where you're trying to focus on the big things, and you still focus on the little things. You just give the things the amount of time and the attention that it deserves.
messaging.
Back on the idea of turnover luck. You still feel that way, that it's not a product of the ball bouncing here and there, but it's coaching and.
I do. Yeah, I do, and I'll stay firm to that. Now, Zach, right? There's always a bounce of the ball that it's an imperfect game. There's mistakes that no one's ever gonna. There's no one that comes off of a football game like that was a perfect game. Like you have that in baseball sometimes. That's not a perfect game yet. No, none of these games are perfect, right? But that ball bounces differently. So there are times where you're like, we didn't get on the ball. We fumbled, but we didn't get on the ball. But the act in itself of the fumble alone is what we're talking about. Like that, the way the ball came out is a product of coaching, of playing, right? The details of how you play. And that's everything. You look at, you name it, like whether it's somebody that's punching the ball out and I'm talking as an offense, and you weren't protecting it good enough, whether it's a communication problem on a snap, whether it's a ball handling issue where you catch the ball and you're in the mesh between the back, those are all things that we practice and preach and talk and detail out a ton. And so like, yeah, I definitely push back on that. Like the element of, like I said, the element of the ball going on, I count anytime we fumble as a fumble, and I'm treating that in my mind as a turnover because you could have, right? And so the ball in itself can bounce weird ways, and that's going to happen, but that happens to everybody. So if you're like, oh, the ball didn't bounce our way this way, so those happen all throughout the league, right? And so it's the act in itself of protecting it, and vice versa, the act in itself of coming after the ball. When you close in on a guy and one guy has a shot at the ball and the other guy has a tackle secured, are you getting that shot? Are you taking your attempts? Like that's what we talk about when we take it away. Are you getting your attempts? The guy that shoots 25 shots is going to score a heck of a lot more points than the guy who shoots 8, unless the guy that shoots 25 stinks and you don't make it. So it's like get your attempts on the ball and then the fundamentals and detail that go into that. Because, gosh, we work too hard at it to ever think this is luck. Like you make your own luck, and you try your best to put yourself in the best position you possibly can do, and that's turnovers, that's game management, that's the way you run a 2-minute drill. It's everything, right? Yeah, I mean, these guys pour everything into this thing, and they're so hungry to get better, and so those are things we feel like we can control.
You have the two at ball security and the takeaway up there. Do you have like a third one for quarterbacks in the pocket?
Like with 2 hands on the ball?
Yeah, well, you got like the body ball boundary.
We have our rules for like those are like there's a lot of different things that come off of this. And again, this is for the team ball carriers. And this is a good question. This is for the team ball carriers. Like Jalen having 2 hands on the ball in the pocket is thing, but is definitely a thing. But the reason it's not up there is because that's not as like that to me to Dallas Goedert. He's not going to be passing the ball like that. So, those are the ones that are individualized for the position stays in the position. They don't make it to the poster, but there's the back too. Like the back gets the ball off the mesh. And so many times in this league, we see the back do this and a defensive lineman get a hand on it. Well, what the back's taught to do is here and then get to this right away. But something like that doesn't make the poster. Like also like a catch tuck, right? That's specific to the quarterback's not involved in that. So these are team. Does that make sense where I'm going with it? These are team fundamentals where it applies to everybody, whereas the specific ones that apply to the position group are handled in the team meetings, but also in the position groups and also in the offense meetings.
How did Cooper look in practice this week on defense?
I'm sorry?
How did Cooper look in practice on defense?
Yeah, I think the guys had a good week of practice. The guy they worked hard on their fundamentals. They worked hard on being on the same page. Playing good defensive football is tackling well. Playing good defensive football is coming after the football and creating some turnovers. Being good on defensive football is effort and energy to the football, and being good on defense is also everyone being on the same page. And I think our group as a whole had a really good week of practice of doing those things, because if you don't do some of those things in defensive football, you can't be a top-tier defense.
How was Sydney's first week back on?
Go ahead.
How was Sydney's first week back on?
Yeah, he had a good week too. Fun to have him out there. He's a good player, great worker, great teammate. He's had so many plays where he's just been standing back there and his mind has been so focused on, hey, I'm not in right now, but my mind's got to work in. And I've admired watching him do that from afar. But yeah, it was good to get him out there running around. I thought he had some good moments.
Nick, how much is tackling fundamentals and how much of it is desire and effort?
Yeah, I think in coaching, right? Just the same way, I look at it the exact same way as I look at the turnovers. What I know about our football team, and I said this to our football team, I know that we are a tough, physical football team that plays with relentless effort. We grade that. We talk about that every single day, and I see our guys busting to play as hard, hard, because we know when we play hard that heard someone say this the other day. Your hustle and your energy gives you the right to make a play, and I see our guys doing that. I think so much with tackling comes down to the detail of how you approach, the detail with how you wrap. But sometimes it is just getting the dude down. It's like, all right, there was no detail there, but he got him on the ground, or vice versa. But it's always like, hey, you have all these rules, and we can make a poster for the tackling, right? Because there's so many different rules with that, or details, with that, of how you go about your business, about getting there. And your track and your line, and then your strike and everything, how you get off the block. But sometimes it does come down to just get the dude down, right? Just get him down. It's one of the best coaching lines that Ronell Williams says is just grab a body part, get him down. Whatever, you just get him down. Now you're there, you've made your hit, you've went through, grab a body part and get him down. And so, I know we've done the right things to put ourselves in position this week. We'll keep tinkering with different things to try to put our guys in position. That we did different drills. We had a couple different things with equipment out there, because all we care about is that the product that we put on the field is a reflection of the things we do here, and our guys have worked really hard at it. Oh,
You're right.
Hey, your mom didn't want me chewing the gum.
Yeah.
Nick, your roster.
Thanks, Mrs. Lang.
Your roster right now is at 52. It's kind of related questions. Do you anticipate going to 53? And how do you think Paris has performed? Yeah,
Paris has had some really good has done some really good things. I've seen Paris make plays for a long time in this league, and he plays with relentless effort. He plays physical. He plays tough. And when he's got opportunities, I think he has 8 targets and 8 catches. You guys would know that. I thought I saw something like that with our stats that they give me. I think he has 8 targets and 8 catches. So he's taking advantage of the opportunities he's got, and he's fast, right? And so he helps there. We'll see how that plays out. But I'm pleased with Paris and the things that he's done.
Last one?
You'll get that. Yeah. I don't know how to answer that. All right, ready, break. Sorry.